Well, first of all, the debt ceiling debate is really depressing. Look, I hope we don't have a technical default. I think it would be stupid. I think it would be a market event. I think it would be a problem. But it's just amazing all the catastrophic forecasts from government officials and others, and the focus on the debt ceiling. I gave a speech at USC last week, and I said, all this talk about the debt ceiling is like sitting on the Santa Monica Pier, and you've got a 30-foot wave coming in, and you're worried about the Santa Monica Pier being damaged. But 10 miles out is a 200-foot tsunami. And that's kind of the situation here. And to some extent, it's discouraging that the Republicans have given the Biden administration the debt ceiling to even talk about, because it enables them to talk about irresponsibility. And the real problem is not the debt ceiling is a market event. It wouldn't be pleasant. It would be stupid. But the other thing is an existential threat to American capitalism. You just mentioned in 2040. That's not that far away, folks. I mean, think back 17 years. 2006 doesn't seem that long ago. That's 2040. And in 2040, entitlements plus interest expense using CBO estimates, which I think are ridiculously low on the interest rates if we're in that situation, are greater than, that's when they become greater than taxes. In 2052, just 30 years using their projections, it's 117% of taxes, and we have an 11% deficit, assuming a 4% interest rate. Well, if you have that situation, interest rates aren't going to be 4. So the most annoying thing is probably the Republicans caving in, which they probably needed to if they want to keep their jobs on the entitlements. Look, Jesse James, why do you rob the banks? Well, that's where the money is. There's no money except entitlements. That's where it is. We are absolutely going to cut entitlements in this country. It is a lie, and it is a fantasy to say we don't have to cut entitlements. The problem is we're either going to cut them now or we're going to cut them later. But if we cut them later, because we will have waited, the interest expense, which is already set under CBO to go from 8 to 27% of GDP, will go much, much higher. So it's a choice. And I don't think it's a hard one, because they say how bad it would be for current seniors if we were to do something on entitlement. Well, what about future seniors? Why should current seniors get $1 or 100% of the loaf and future seniors get 0? It makes no sense to me. And until we deal with this, it's going to squeeze out everything else. It's going to squeeze out government investment. It's going to squeeze out private investment. And it's going to have terrible economic consequences. And it's just extremely disheartening to watch.
Well, watching Macron trying to resolve it and the pain he's going through is a harbinger of how.
Well, Macron that's quite interesting. And I learned something when I was doing preparing the speech for USC, because I knew we were in bad shape. The economists have something they call the fiscal gap. That's the amount you would have to raise taxes today to maintain the generosity that you've promised future seniors. And in the United States, that's 7.7% of GDP. What does that mean? That means if you wanted to fix this situation today without touching entitlements, you'd have to raise taxes 40% tomorrow morning and keep them there forever, or cut spending tomorrow morning by 35% and keep them there forever. Although, of course, it's worse than that, because that would cause the economy to go down actually tax revenues go down, blah, blah, blah. What was astonishing to me is our fiscal gap is 7.7%. France, the poster child for social welfare and all that stuff, their fiscal gap is 2.4%. So it's less than a third of ours, and they're addressing the problem. It's frankly amazing.